Welcome, everybody. This is Big Conversations, Ordinary People.
Mhm.
Unlike the usual podcasts that have been featured on this platform, this one is a bit different because Mark gets to be in the guest seat. I'll be your host today. My name is Daphne Rukundo Uwimana,
Your name means good, right?
God's own
God's own.
Uwimana. Yeah,
Okay.
God's own.
That's cute. Well, thank you for hosting me on Big Conversations. I have tried to do this with someone as well, but it was for their podcast.
Okay.
But since I also republished it, man, I found it interesting. This is why I was up for the idea, really. I also feel like, and not that I am now ready to start talking because like I'm an authority to something. No, but I feel like the experiences, right? And since it's mostly about the podcasting and what I'm doing, I've listened to so many people. I think about 200 people, and I have something to say. Yeah.
You have something to say.
Exactly.
I think that's so true because I've always been a firm believer that you cannot take people to places you have not been. Yeah. And there are certain things you only get the authority to talk about when you've accumulated a certain amount of experience or you've walked a certain kind of journey. It's so simple. Like it's like somebody who has not started a podcast before giving you concrete advice. Like, yes, you mean good,
Yeah.
but there are certain things that only experience can teach. So,
Okay.
nah.
But I entirely don't like agree.
How?
Then
So how?
would not. Do you feel like we should talk about the political climate?
Like, why not?
But we've not been presidents before. We've not been ministers before.
But we do have a part to play in the state of the political climate, because it can only be political if there's a government and there's a people.
Mhm.
Yeah. So really, a president can't be a president without us.
Okay.
So it's some things are
But then how
complementary.
do you know how do you know if the president is making the right decision if you have not been president before?
Because
If you've not like been in his seat to know. And okay, I was going to tell you I'm trying to like chess up on a conversation with the president.
and you did mention it by asking, but
And I'm trying to like work it out. But I feel like that's the thing. I feel like when you talk to someone like the president, you might change how you feel about
what?
the decisions they have made, right? So that's the thing. Whenever I've listened to people close to like people I do not like, or people I find that maybe they are leaders who shouldn't be leaders, but I listen to people who are into their circles, I get this idea of sympathizing with what they're doing.
Maybe understanding why. Because I don't think being a president is easy, first of all. Because there are times when I'm there and you see a certain guy doing something and you're like, put yourself, for example, in God's shoes, just to look at this guy. And so I think, like you said, you're going to have to reach a point where you're going to have to sympathize with them because it's a lot. By the time they reach that decision, yes, they have advisors, but at the end of the day, they are the sole authority. So you're just going to have to hope. Like that's what I was telling you earlier. In everything that we do, it's the state of the heart of somebody that matters. At the end of the day, Mark, if you have a good heart, yeah, you have a good heart, you have a genuine heart, or you've decided to give into that part of your heart.
Yeah.
Whatever comes out of you, it's not what comes in, it's what comes out that has the impact. So if the state of your heart is well, you will not please everybody. You'll not, I mean, Jesus was not liked by everyone. So who are you? But still, you're going to have to hope enough that he'll make decisions good enough for the greater good.
When you speak of having a good heart, I feel like I have a good heart, right? But I've done some pretty bad things.
We've all done
that's
pretty
the thing.
bad things.
Yeah. So how do you account for that?
I think it's, oh wow, now I feel like This thing has slipped.
No, I think we're going
Thanks for you.
after this. We start this thing. We start. We go away. I promise.
Started more philosophy. But
Mhm.
like for me, it's always the why. The why. Why have you done what you have done? Why have you said what you have said? Why are you choosing to support this organization? It is the why that will always determine the impact. If for you it's about money, then that's all it's going to be. It's going to be a self issue. It's a self thing. It's of me and myself. But if it's why, because somebody should get something better, somebody ought to be happier, I ought to impact, the why is what guides the outcome. Always. Always. So before Mark confuses us, because this is his thing,
Okay.
like I told you, I'd been seeing Mark and I'd looked at Big Conversations, Ordinary People, and the first thing that caught me was Big Conversations, Ordinary People. Personally, I believe that naming is important. You know, people are starting businesses, starting anything. Some people give, like I said, these days people are so technical. They'll say, let me get the technicalities of anything, right? And then the name I'll just get.
Yeah.
I'll just get. So when I was thinking about Big Conversations, Ordinary People, I meditated on it and I was like, Big Conversations, Ordinary People. Why did he choose to say ordinary people? Yeah, why did he choose to have like the title Big Conversations, Ordinary People? When I was looking for a title for my podcast that's about to come out, I looked for a title. I was like, I want something that when somebody says it, it will speak of me. It will have a story to it. It will have purpose. It will have something to eat. Yeah. And I settled for Life as I've come to know it. Yeah. So
Nice.
I want you to just give us a short glimpse into, why Big Conversations, Ordinary People. How did the story even begin? Unlike now, when everyone is doing a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
you are been there, you've been on the scene. I have, because you can tell evolving. Even when you go to your page, you can tell that
The process.
it has evolved. There is growth. So how has that been like?
So it's a very interesting journey. Very nice, but with like everything else, with like big ups and downs, right? Like, why am I doing this? Should I go and sit there? I've bounced a few people like that, played around the timing. There's when you're like, okay, now what am I really going to see? Then the feedback, but rewind time to how we start. So we started this with my colleague and business partner, Kenneth. So first of all, he had this thing going on. He's always been like a film guy, right? Podcast guy, camera guy. But he's a software engineer. Even though the passion is the film, and I've known him for a lifetime.
Together friends.
We are friends, but we're also related. We are brothers.
Like actual brothers.
Yes, actual brothers.
Interesting.
Like grown up in the same house type of brothers, same bedroom type of brothers.
Wow.
Right.
He's older.
He's older. Yeah. So right, one day how we really start is I am at Bellwether in Chanja, where we did that podcast from with Isabel. It's a very good apartment. So I'm there with a friend of mine, and I like name dropping, right? But I want to give you the whole story. I'm there with a friend of mine, Martin. So we're also like friends. Martin, Kenneth, we know each other. So I call up Kenneth. I'm like, you come and we hang out at this place, right? Let's catch up.
When was this?
This was before lockdown.
Before lockdown.
Yeah. So because right immediately just before lockdown, I forget the years, but before lockdown. So I call up Kenneth. Kenneth comes around. We hang out, and Kenneth says he has a mic, and he has always wanted to start a podcast. So I'm like, yes, sure. So Martin is like,
we have chats for days.
Martin is like, that guy, that's all he wants to do with life, to talk. Let's do the podcast. So Martin says, dream, like we get together, we start having conversations. So we didn't have like the name.
So it
But
was
we're
just
just
a group of
ordinary.
guys chilling.
Yes.
Ordinary
Yes.
people.
Thank you.
On an
Like you'd
ordinary
chill
day.
on an ordinary day. It was a weekend. It was a Sunday. Very ordinary day. We're just chilling, vibing. I like to swim, so
I don't know how to swim. Can you imagine?
I'll teach you how to swim. I like to teach people how to swim because I feel like it's important. So, but as at the pool, and I call up these guys. Everyone comes through. So Kenneth comes through. Then Kenneth talks about how he has this mic. Like, oh, let's do the podcast. So it was a Saturday actually. So the next Sunday we come with a mic. We had a mixer. Ken brought one mic on the mixer. Then we had a conversation. We just talk about stuff.
Just
But
don't remember what you talked about.
I think the first time we just talked about Ugandan music, but then again, we didn't want to sound like TV.
You just wanted
Yeah.
just conversation, like let's just talk.
True. And we did that. Then because that was like the first time we're meeting, and it looked like a bonding thing. We promised each other to do it again and to make it the weekend thing, right? Everyone is into their own world. This guy is an engineer who stays home the whole day, works from home, works for Andela. This guy works for Jumia Martin. He's always into orders. It's crazy. But then I think I was working in the market. I was working in the One Day Guy markets. I was trying to like develop their digital thing altogether. I was spending most of my time with traders. So the only time we could catch up was when I'm going to swim. So my friends come around and we do that talking thing. But this time we had a mic. Yeah. So we record the conversations, right? We listen to ourselves. We're like, oh, this is.
Who was the tech guy? Because
Kenneth was the tech guy now. He has the mixer. He's always had these things, right? He's always been the guy with, hey, he knows the new discs that is sending computers. This guy exactly. He has all this like. There's so much learning. Like I'm always learning from this guy all my life. This is all I have done, learn from Kenneth. So, but then the thing though is now I am the guy that would be interested in something and do it. Right? We'll see it through. It will just not be, we'll see it through. We'll now go planning, we'll do it. We'll be like, okay, now this is a thing. The podcasting was cool. So I put a video, I recorded there, I put it on Twitter, podcasting, got interested. And now, like, it felt like this is something I could just
actually do.
Yeah. I didn't even, let me shock you. I started podcasting without like a history of listening to podcasts or podcasts being my thing. It was just conversations like I told you with my dad in the car. But I knew people doing YouTube channels and stuff.
Had you wanted to do radio at some point?
Yes. But I had wanted to do radio. I was also like head of media club in school. Like I have like a whole media background, so it makes sense. That's why I'm interested.
Used to be those guys in school who would be doing the media stuff.
Yeah, the media stuff, the news, the computer guy still getting the news as actually head monitor, compiling the magazine, that stuff. Like, yeah. So that now comes to this. Now it becomes serious. So we lockdown comes, right? They lock us up. Then we decide to do the conversations online. So we had a cousin of mine had joined Huntington. Then my best friend then was a friend of mine, Debbie. How we fell out, I don't know why, by the way. Like, but yeah, that was like the end of the process. Like we don't talk. So, but she was the fifth person. So we're like 5 people who get together and have conversations. So she's a doctor.
She was the only female
in
the group at the time.
Yeah. I think the only one we kept, right? The only one we've had. Okay, no, we then had Maya, but so we try to have conversations online where everyone joins in on Zoom. Then we record and publish and like choose topics. But at the core of it all, we did not want to sound average. Or we did not want
cliche, like what was already in the mainstream.
We're not going to ask you who you're having sex with, like what TV will do to like get the clicks. We're really just having conversations like you'd have them with your friends, right? They could go wrong, they could be boring, like just share your knowledge. I share my knowledge on something. We are not trying to be experts. We're just talking. Yeah. we didn't know the structure. We're trying to define it in the process, right? There's Huntington there with the economics and the structures and the systems. So he's telling us that maybe we should talk about this, target these people, the COVID things. What?
Take guys,
Exactly.
vision, guys, visioning.
Now it's all making sense. So it's like that. What was like your question?
Why, like, but you've
name.
literally given it to me.
Yeah.
The process, big conversations.
So that's how
Ordinary
it starts.
People, literally.
Ordinary people.
I think listening to you, I don't believe in. Do you believe in coincidences?
No.
So you don't believe that things just happen. There's always a pattern to it.
Yes.
I believe that to be true because, like you said, it didn't just come from anywhere. You had this background in media. You loved media in school.
Yeah.
You know, you were part of this club and everything. And how you decided to like just do it. I think that's something that is the biggest hurdle for anybody. I could have said creatives, but I believe all of us have been built with something that is from us to the world. Yeah. I don't believe that somebody can, people steal your idea, but the execution will always only be you. So I'm here thinking and listening, and I'm wondering, I could say maybe it was easy that you guys just said, you know what, let's just start, which most people don't do.
It wasn't, because then I had to do a lot of push and you guys, we have to do this thing on Saturday. This guy's like, I'm not there, I have this game.
So those things were actually there.
So you have to force the guy. There has to be the consistent guy, right? And I made sure I am that guy, that come what may.
Come what may. You were the one, like, let's say the admin of the group. Guys,
We are going
to up the planet.
This is it. This is it. In fact, guys fell off. That's how crazy it is. Like, they couldn't keep up. They fell off. At me, I have to what?
And I think consistency is a very important virtue that some people have easy, others it's a discipline that they have to develop. Have you always been like that? Like you see things through? Like something
I'll shock you
just do it.
I actually am not someone that really, really sees things through. Like
How?
When you look at my past, right? I didn't see school through. What else?
But do you think
I tried to like have like a marriage, then that ended. Like, I feel like I know how to do things until I don't. Does that make sense?
What do you mean until you don't? Is that an issue of self-doubt?
That could be the thing, but also I'm just learning to get out of loving to fail, right? So when you're very, very scared of failing, sometimes you do not
try at all.
things. So I would always choose not to fail. So it's something I'm just picking. Like, I've always, my last name is Wamala. It's such a very interesting name. So it gives you this much confidence of, I have to get things done.
You are your name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm a strong believer in names. Like that's why I started with it. Why you call anything. Yeah. Like that is like, it speaks into you. It speaks into your life. Like, I love love. Hi, you guys say love. And you can see my name is Rukundo. Yes. I love God because I'm effortlessly, and I feel like the names we name, be it a business, be it a word, be it our children in the future, should matter. So Amala. Yeah. Like, Chimala. In fact, we're Chimala. But
yeah. So like, I was trying to tell you, the whole fear of failing has always been the thing. So I've not seen everything through, but I give it my best. Like, always been that person. Like, also, I'm like a problem solver. I've always been solving problems. Like, I don't like to, I'm not the type of person you'll find complaining around my friends about issues, right? It's either we're fixing them or we're just moving away from them. Like, that's the person I am. So the love to just really do it and show up has been there. But also when I fail, I feel like I'm so disappointed, right? And that affects me.
So how, if I asked you how you relate with loss and rejection, it seems to me that you are self-aware. Yes,
Yeah.
you are self-aware and you know what your weaknesses are. And so how do you deal with loss? Because the truth is, they are people who are afraid to fail and they don't start completely. And there are those that start and choose to stay at a certain zone and be like, let me not go all the way because I don't want to fall so hard. I don't want to fall so high having accomplished all this. Where you have reached now.
Mhm.
Yeah, most people believe that when I start the podcast, when I start the business, when I start the journey, I will go till the end, or the fear, the self doubt will go away. When you look back at how much progress you have made, because you've had conversations with pretty amazing people,
That's right.
pretty amazing people, how have you dealt with that self doubt? Because you are growing. This enterprise is growing. Does the self doubt go away? How are you dealing with that?
No, it doesn't. But also at the back of my mind is everything can fail, right? I have lost things I consider very, very dear to me
Do
in
you
life
blame yourself?
all the time, and rightfully so. I feel like I was very ignorant at that stage of my life, and like I wish I'd known better. So, but I also really, really strongly believe in karma, right? I believe that we have to lay in the bed we make, right? So, because of that, at the back of my mind is always the possibility of failing with everything I'm doing. It's how I know it's really just coming to work, coming to the team and selling the same dream and hoping the next guy buys into it because it's inspiring.
it.
Yeah. And they just get along to it, but knowing it could end just because I've dealt with pain. And I feel like I'm still dealing with all this stuff. I'm learning around it. It's just a thing, but now I know it. I know the fact that this is beautiful, but it could
It's
also just,
possible.
yeah.
It could end. So,
And I'm not really like afraid of starting over.
okay. That means you're not too attached. You're not attached,
Yeah. Like,
which is, I think, is a very important thing because in this world, nothing truly is ours. And when you're detached or
True.
you're not too attached
True.
to something,
yeah.
you're able to make the necessary changes whenever you have to make them. Yeah. So for me, what I'm seeing is that the people around you have mattered from the start up to now.
Mhm.
There are times I believe you won't feel like doing something or the doubt kicks in, but because of a confidence you have in the team that you have built, gives you the opportunity to give yourself grace, but also believe because the people who have believed in the dream with you.
Yeah.
So how do you practice grace? Because it takes a lot to wake up every morning to choose and come and do this thing, whether you feel like it, whether you don't feel like it, even
True.
reach where it was here.
I agree. So I come from a very humble family, right? But I grew up thinking my father was a very rich man until I actually really got exposed to understand that he was nothing close to what I imagined. He just made sure I get through life, right? Comfortably. Without just so when I grow up, I try to now make sense of the sacrifices he's made all through. Then also I the things I've lost dearly have put me in places where I've lost everything and been on the street. And when you're there, you have to practice gratitude, right? Because you do not know where you're going to sleep the next day. You don't know if they're going to
So
take
when
you.
you get where to sleep, you are grateful.
You're grateful. And this is like the daily routine, right? Because you're out there smoking and being up and everywhere in bars, just taking time like that. So getting to a situation where now I have full control of my life. And it's not easy, right? Right now I live slightly above average from my normal peers. So it's not something I didn't know would happen, but then it's something I know that has not happened to a lot of my peers.
Yes.
Right?
Because
So
they
then-
probably haven't had the same
Exactly.
experiences as you have.
Exactly. So then having that, and it's really a lot, because I am 28 years, right? I'm making 29, but
When is your birthday?
July 23rd. So it passed. So so I think I'm making 29. I was born 94, but let's see, 29, 30. That now, knowing that people my age right now have so much exposure to so many things, but I still can afford to be functioning every day, I'd rather live in the purpose of something, right? And that explains this podcast. This is why I have to do it. It feels like it's purpose. I have to communicate to people. I have to practice listening. There's so much I learned from this, right? My colleague is on here also speaking to some people. Sometimes I am learning from him. I'm learning what he's reading, the books, the knowledge, then I'm taking from that. So to me, it's such a big thing, even before it gets published. Right? There's learning these cameras, the process, the setup, just these conversations, what you're going to talk about, what are other people talking about, how are they taking them serious. So that whole purpose thing, the feedback you get from people, it's crazy. I have people who fly into the country just to get on this podcast, and they have total admiration of what I'm doing, right? And it's crazy to them. It's amazing. They listen to some people they connect with, like from online, and they're like, oh, I listened to this chick on your podcast and I felt so good. And that, yeah, whenever you get to know that, really, whoever reaches out, when you combine the feedback and then the effort of the team, and then what you get, you just have to just do it. Like, there's so much you have to disappoint, right? If you don't do this.
And it speaks to your heart. It's only every time you're afraid. I don't know where I read it or I saw it somewhere, but it says every time you're afraid to lose something so much, it means you have given it your all. Your heart is there. Like, for me, that's the one primary guide, at the state of the heart. Every time there's a heart in something, every time you're doing something to speak to another heart, trust that you're going to move it. You're going to have impact. And there's that satisfaction that comes from knowing somebody's life hasn't remained the same. And in this world we live in, it seems like we have to do so much to change the world. And yet sometimes you can sit down and that imposter syndrome kicks out and you're like, just conversations. But no, it's as simple as conversation. Somebody will hear something and that conversation will be the flip switch they needed. It will be something that will change their lives. So I think that's really important.
Also, the conversations though, right? Because unlike everyone else, I think, the biggest fan of this podcast, right? Because I also produce it. So I look at people. Sometimes I go listen to people, then I chase up on them. Okay, right now it's interesting. People reach out to me a lot about coming onto the podcast. But in the beginning, it was I select who I want to listen to. Say Kenneth Mohanji, right? Was about guest number 8. I love listening to Kenneth. The wellness, the mental health, that talk, the knowing of self.
Exactly.
Thank you. Like, you listen to him, you get by about it, right? So when people like him accepted to come onto the podcast and then had these conversations, and then I listened to these conversations, because then I'm like the first guy that listens.
So you go back and
because sometimes I'm editing them myself, or I'm there. If I'm not having the conversation, I am there. Unlike the guys that work here now, that I have left to go and do everything else, it's actually really wrong studio policy. You're supposed to come and listen to these cameras, listen to the sound the whole time. So I follow through my process, right? This is how I lead. Mostly by, if I want a podcast to be perfect, I'll be about it.
You'll be about it. You take it personal, like it.
Yeah, I'll be attached to it. The KTS symposium was very mad. Like, you can't leave the camera to roll alone. Like, this is so big to me. But that is how I'm attached to the thing. So when I listen to the conversations, they meant so much to me. I felt like there was so much
just people talking. Like, it's not just a podcast. Like, yeah, you have mics
and the fact that these are not like industry experts, so you'd learn anything from anyone, from what they're talking about, how they're doing live. People are always going to move correct when they're speaking, right?
Yeah.
So they might tell you the beauty about what they're doing, and that's enough for you. Maybe you have to look at that, and that inspires what you're doing. So listening to them over and over again, and like people accepting, then the feeling of getting the podcast and like, oh, I've enjoyed this. Like, you'd never get anyone to say this was terrible,
or you went overboard.
Yeah, no,
even somebody just giving you their time, somebody considering and saying, you know what, I have some place to be, but Mark is in my schedule. I think that shows that people appreciate, people see value in what you are doing. Yeah, I've always been a firm believer that most people in the world chase money, but I keep telling everyone that I know. I have a friend who is starting her law firm, and I was telling her, you're now CEO, you're now a firm proprietor, you know? So it's not about the money. You're the value. The moment you were born, the moment you came into this world, you are the prize. Like, the money is just an after effect. It's an outcome, you know? It's an inevitable outcome of that. When your value is seen by those it ought to be seen. Because, Mark, not everyone listens to this podcast. Not everyone. That's why I keep telling people, you're going to complain about social media, but I realize our social media platforms are like streets. Yeah, they're like streets. Depending on the people you've chosen to follow, it's going to determine how your streets are going to look like. You're not going to follow people who are always bantering, ratchet, and you expect a calm timeline. No, what you see is what you get. Yeah. So there are people who give in their time and listen to the podcast and accept them as his value. So, out of everything you're saying to me, I see certain values reoccurring. Diligence, excellence. Yeah?
I like the words you use.
But it is like a diligent man. And what makes all the difference sometimes is how personal you take something. Somebody else could come and say, I'm going to record the podcast.
But I feel like that is who I am, right? With everything, and it's such a bad thing.
No, it's a perfect thing. When you take it personal and do it, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that when you are faithful in another man's, God will bless you with your own. You see, that thing where you take it personal and it becomes yours, you can never become complacent and familiar to it. And that's why, like I told you, when you go to the Big Conversations Ordinary page on Instagram, you'll see growth. You'll see evolving. You'll see that these are people who started doing something a certain way, and they keep evolving. They keep evolving. The structure, the system, the picture, it keeps growing. The quality, you know? So there's a lot.
I like that you're noticing these things. You know why? Because to me, it's always like about, oh man, we're still like, say right now, if you get like a sound issue, I'll be very, very demoralized. I'll be like, man, guys will even complain for us. We've never gotten our sound.
About what comes out.
Yeah, I see that.
So it's intention about what comes out. You said something about how the different conversations that people have, that you host, that your other teammates host. People are always reading books. What book do you think somebody should always read? What's that one book you feel like?
Mark Manson's Everything is Fact.
Everything is Fact.
Yes.
Why?
So people like the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
But I feel like, so Everything is Fact is like it's where they plucked subtle art of not giving a fuck, right? And really, everything is fact.
Everything is fact. but not everything is truth.
Oh my God. Like,
Not
no.
everything
And
is truth.
the most recent to me is just proved everything was like, everything is fat. Like, it's not like so recent to me. Like, I knew this story.
Mm. But everything is.
Yeah. Like,
Everything
everything. So when you look at the depth of that, and we're not talking about like why we do this. So there's purpose, right? To it, to some people, you are just saying a lot of bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Wahala.
You know,
Running your mouth.
just as a mind.
Sound engineer.
Exactly. So when you think about that, but then at least a tiny hope of, hey, I liked that conversation. Hey, I liked this. It's crazy.
So for you, it's not about whether it reaches 1,000 people. It's even if it changes one person's life, that counts more than enough.
Yes, and also it's let me give you like a bigger picture to this, right? So because you can invite so many people with so much information, and it's making me better, right? And the more I'm in a better position, the more the people around here. The guy that has just set up this podcast, not the guy you found, but the guy that had put it up, came to me as a cleaner. And I'm not just saying this because I'm motivating anyone, but it's so inspiring. But because they kept seeing my TikToks, right? Like this guy's on a mic, but then he's hanging out with me like he's me, like he's me. I don't let this define me, right? I am me with the people I am with, and like that. So him just getting up the ranks to just start doing a podcast, to editing them, to looking out for mistakes, telling me, oh, here, this one said this and that, like getting very involved is something, right? And these are people really, really close to me. Then we're two hosts for this podcast. We're both parents.
Yeah, you have children.
Yeah, so Kenneth has two children. I have one boy. I don't spend a lot of time with him. But
Why?
then that's like you still have questions, right? We'll get there. We'll get to my boy. But yeah, I want to talk about two. And now listening to Isabel talk about stuff, I feel like women need to know this other story.
We're going to get there.
Cool. So there's the children bit. I use this as a place of learning for my son and people his time, right?
Yes.
Because their times are evolving so much.
So much.
This is prime learning, right? You're learning from someone like you, from wherever you're coming from. Say, maybe you'll come back here and we talk about the law or what not. And whatever you'll share will be relevant because it's almost experience, it is on ground, it's how it's affecting in how it's affecting whatever is happening in the country. So it's real-time information that it's just you just have to like know how to sieve it and pick what you need at the moment and use that.
That works
So
for you. Sure.
that is very, 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 very important to me. The fact that anyone, and it's ordinary people, right? You do not have to be an expert, but you have an experience, you have a story to tell. And only you can tell your story. So when you get the chance to tell that story or to talk about what you're doing, it's important to us.
Yeah. So what you are doing here is primarily preserving knowledge for generations to come.
Exactly. The content we are producing is content for antiquity, right? You asked about the numbers, how many people watch it, but imagine I'm going to do 20,000 episodes because that's where my mind is, right? The podcast that inspires this podcast is the JRE, the Joe Rogan podcast. Before he got the Sony deal where it became really, really popular, he had done about 1,000 episodes talking to people for 1,000 episodes. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Crazy. So just doing that and
crazy.
a threshold, because people talk to people and people have these equipments, they have microphones, they have cameras, but they just don't go through episode 7. It gets frustrating. The guests at maybe when they come, it's not the conversation you want. At you post only 3 people like
the
it.
thing runs dry.
You get? So for me, I'm deciding to do this for a lifetime. So there's no room for frustration, right? I don't postpone my conversations. Whenever really I prioritize.
So time is a big thing to you.
Yeah.
Time is a big thing to you.
In the future, someone will look back, and it has happened. I have predicted people coming on the podcast and they talk about what they're doing before anywhere else. And then it comes to life. I had Tubayo before they were winning and they were already talking about their plan, but I had them like back those ends before they became like anything. So things like that make a lot of sense to me. Like, see how rich this content is. Only me. And then it defines how then you have the conversations, right? What do you want to put out there? So before you know it, you don't know how you want to have the conversations. But now it becomes interesting. Yeah. It becomes something, okay, this is good.
That's good.
This is rich. This is valuable.
This is
right?
something that is worth it.
Yeah, this is really, really valuable. Someone will like it. That
from the experience that you have gotten, how long has this podcast been here? How many years?
3.
3 years.
Yeah.
So in these 3 years, what if somebody is starting anything? What things do you think you have kept doing from the start till to date that have enabled you get to where you are now, but also where you are heading to? Yeah, because like I said, it's like this now. You just don't know when you're going to hit that silver lining and it explodes. Yes. But there are things that you have kept doing that you just believe that anyone starting something that they are bringing up out of themselves, be it a podcast, a business, anything in life, what are those things that you think are important?
Showing up.
Showing up. Even when you don't feel like it, showing up.
Okay, when you don't feel like it, these are conversations, right? You might not have the conversation.
Because it's easy to show up when...
To me, it's about... So I show up here every day like it's my first day, right? I will still carry that extension there. If it's the time, the urgency, if maybe it's not been set up, because it's what I have done from the beginning. So I treat every single day I come here like it's that very first day. Like I am the amateur that does not know anything. Right now I know how to connect sound, I know how to level sound, I know how to edit sound, I know how to edit
and
videos.
You didn't know that in the start.
Know any of this, right? And all the stuff we know here, none of us knew any of this, including Kenneth, the tech guy. He didn't know anything. Like just learning. Jobs have to keep you busy. Yeah, just learning everything.
So you basically worked with what you had.
Exactly, and we're not yet experts, right? This is why we're not yet producing what maybe Songs Avenue is producing. But then look at what Songs Avenue has become over time, right? But look, they had music then, Nyumbani, radio, like 20 years back, exactly. Wow. Crazy. So when you look at those processes, then you look at just those small things, and then you get into the practice of that. So to me, it's just coming here as an amateur every single day. I don't know anything. I can put up a camera. If it's even coming to work, say we went to work, that's it. If there's a camera guy, then that's the expert of the camera. It doesn't matter if I taught them what they know. Oh, but that's now what they're specializing in. They have studied maybe the mood and everything. So I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
It's been a continuous process of learning.
Exactly.
Which is really so important.
Learning and listening, listening is such a big skill. You might miss it, right? So the fact that it's just really ordinary people is interesting, right? Because then you don't know who you're going to talk to.
You just have no
You didn't be very excited on a guest. They have this LinkedIn profile going on. It's all aligned. And then when you have a conversation with them, it's not the same. They're selling a facade and it's crazy. So, but then how do you sit into that?
People have gotten into the habit of having scripted answers.
Exactly.
Like, I know you're going to ask me, tell me about yourself. Scripts.
In House of Cards, I used to watch House of Cards. So Francis used to practice what he was going to talk to the media at the press conference. So it come out so perfect. So like, oh man, I do this. I practice my thing. Tomorrow I come on the podcast and I'm speaking like Jordan Peterson. I'm like, what?
Perfect. To that teleprompter, you just see me speaking and you're like, wow. But that's
So
not true.
that skilling of listening to people, then also understanding why they're doing that and how it's helping them, and maybe it's how they're learning, it's how they're adopting to things, it's how we're learning, right? So that then defines how we do this, like how I do it every single day, how I show up, the mood I show up, and it's even when I'm like in a bad mood, but because it's tiring, the guy has to lift these things, and so you have to tone down. Also, it's like a tone of friends,
Yeah.
right? It's you're happy for the guy that man, this guy is now producing this podcast, it's editing them, and it's published, and people like it, and people now give feedback on like quality of improvement.
Yeah.
So you give them that feedback. It's a skill.
That's a skill.
Yeah. And remember, everyone here doesn't know anything, right? We just all play.
You've accepted and you are willing to learn.
Exactly.
Being willing to learn. And
YouTube is like our biggest teacher. This is why we make sure the internet.
People say YouTube is their best, but it's just so hard to believe. Like, we want to go to a seminar.
It is.
Like, we want to go to a seminar, conference, and pay more money, and yet it's actually there. Yeah,
So
I think it's
that the mix of the friend bit and knowing that this is also adding value to
so working with friends can work. It's understanding what this friend has to offer, their skill set, their value set, and tailoring work exactly that favors them. Because most people have made it seem like working with friends, working with family is impossible.
Yeah, but now me, that's all I want.
For you, it's what has made it work for you.
Thank you. And then when you look at in history, the greatest of empires, a family, so it's working, right? And besides that, who are you going to trust the most, really? Amongst people closest to you. So if you're not winning with the whole table, then you're not really winning. True. But then look at it from this perspective. If my friends are really, 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 really happy that I'm succeeding, they should be getting somewhere from that success, right? Rather than having your friends call you and ask you for money.
Which is a sign to show you that you are moving, you are progressing, you are growing, but the people around you are staying the same. And essentially, you will stay the same. You'll reach a point and become stagnant because, we keep saying, we have had people say this so many times that you even completed before the person says that you are the average. You're the average of the 5 people you spend. But that's the actual truth.
I agree.
The actual truth. Like, if you're working with 4 fools, you're the 5th. Like, it's just the actual truth. And where else do you expect them to grow from if you, who has the baton, you have not passed it on to your friends? And that's the thing with familiarity. It blinds you. Our friends, you look at your circle and you see that your friends are so capable of amazing things, effortless, amazing things. And if you worked together, you get to outsource something so effortlessly compared to when you would have to go and search for it elsewhere. But when charity starts at home.
And usually where people really get it wrong is in hierarchy, right? In leadership, what? So it doesn't matter if it's me paying everyone that comes here, yeah? And we don't even make profit. So the money comes from elsewhere. Then you pay up guys for editing these big conversations so that people enjoy them, so that you can do them. So, but that really doesn't matter. So hierarchy, if you understand that to be the best boss, when I was first employed here, I was very, very lucky. I was earning a lot of money at such an early age, right? But I had a white boss who I forever think is like world's best boss because he didn't care about hierarchy. He cared really about work done. And that's the thing we try to work with here. Are you getting your work done? because we all do not know stuff. I'm just learning management. So we're employing tools, ClickUp, Slack to help us like manage, AI to help like people write official emails and whatnot. We knowing that you want to be the boss to yourself first before you're a boss to anyone else. And the way you'd want me to be boss to you is how I would want you to be boss to me, right? So that's the thing. Like, it's really not hierarchy, because I go party with my friends. Then I tell them tomorrow at 6 or at 7 I have a podcast. You have to be at work.
Be at work.
Be at work. So I don't care if you're going to be in the
principles.
It's you just need to know that this is not the work, it's the ethic, because we show up, and it starts with me. I'll show up for that conversation, fully dressed, fully ready, and I'll give you a conversation. So there's that. I can't disappoint you because, hey, you have to put in the process to put
and I'm already here. I just said something like that. Like, you're not going to want people to come to work at 8. Because but you're the boss, you come in at 11. They want to come.
Like it just fits into you, yeah. The less of it, you're just like, okay, let's go.
At least there's this podcast, Jay Shetty. He asked somebody what's the best advice you've received, and this guy said, write down a list of values or things you want in a partner and be that list.
That's it.
Like, be that.
Even being a leader or boss,
Like,
or working with people, because I don't like the boss terms and the leader, like working with people, because then the beauty about working with your friends, they already know your flaws.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pretend.
It ain't
Being a guy who shows up, who has to speak some English, you don't even understand what was. No, just show up, do your part. Everyone does their part. You get in sync, and it's a happy day. Just that. And practicing that every single day is important, right? Work is work. You have some principles, you're employing these tools. You have like a process. As long as you're following process, you're keeping everything track of process. Then there you can have banter at office, then have different banter as friends outside. And it's different and it's unique because you see, this is process, this is feedback to this.
So there are boundaries that have been established.
Yeah. And that's amazing.
Wow. I think people's perspective should change when it comes to friends. I think it's
I agree.
Working with friends.
I agree. Because then why would you want to work with a stranger? I mean, how does that settle down with you?
There's just so much. It's like a relationship.
Nepotism as well, right? It is. I'm never against it. I kid you not. Like, what are you going to do?
And like, that's it. Like, I look at things like nepotism and I'm like, we can't help it.
You simply can't.
We can't help it.
You're going to start a company and your sister is at home when they can do something.
And if they actually
let them fail on merit. And
now what the distinction comes at the point of delivery.
Yeah.
If they're able to deliver.
That's it.
I think the sentiments of its nepotism, of its friends, of its
fail to deliver, be accountable, and then it will make sense. Yeah.
Interesting. So I feel like we've talked about career. Career. We have milked that career part of your life. But I want to know, career, love, life, all that is defined by Mark. It doesn't define you.
Okay.
Yeah? So how does Mark's life look like before he gets into the office every single day, before you come to us, before you give us, before you wake up in the morning and decide to grace us in the world again? How is your, people say mental health, but people made it seem so cliche, but mental health is actually life.
Yeah.
Because everything stems from the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depression it's so easy to get depressed. These days, I feel like depression and mental health illnesses have become fashion illnesses. I'm like, I'm depressed, I have anxiety, but for
can be praised.
For these days, like to associate themselves like, I'm depressed, I have anxiety issues, I have ADHD. But how do you make sure that you don't burn out? Especially in the hard days, because Mark, they are hard days. They are hard days. We all have hard days. So
So you ask, the first thing you asked that was really interesting was, who is the Mark before coming to
before coming
studio and facing the world?
before you come and face
Facing a lot of adversity, going through or regretting all the mistakes I've made since I think I was of sane mind.
Have you been
Living
depressed
through,
before?
yeah, but not like diagnosed, right?
Mm.
But I've
It's
been
because you just never went to the hospital.
exactly. But I
You
could
were
feel like
amazed. Someone like
gesture.
I'm worried.
We fight it through. I don't negotiate with therapists. So facing those pains, and I've actually been to a therapist before. It was of a relationship, trying to see if we could mend up with my ex. We
What's your
failed.
take on therapy, by the way?
Bullshit.
Why?
I think it's bullshit.
Okay.
I think
What
it's bullshit.
bias is it? What bias is it for you?
I feel like
Is it because you're a black strong man?
that's it.
Yeah, you belong to the Men Don't Cry Club.
I feel like men don't deserve to cry because the times, okay,
Why?
it's not that I want and like things to go my way.
Is it because you feel you have no choice, no option, but to make it work as a man?
That's it. And for me, it stems from like my background. It's all I've seen my dad do. Like the idea of life is simply work. Everything else, Mark, does not mark. My dad is a very well read man, right? He's read books. He's been. I was in senior two when his first passport was full. He had traveled. He had done his big jobs and whatnot. So with all his experiences, he first of all did not become rich with all that. Life continues to humble you in that direction that you could do everything right and still fail.
Sure.
But then you have to do it too.
You have to do it.
So that's all I know.
So,
Mhm.
I know the truth is our relationship with our parents is a big determinant of the state of our lives right now. Trauma word, I believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with somebody and they told me, for girls, how you relate with your father because he's the first man in your life mirrors, or you project it with how you relate in your relationships with the people that you decide to start to date and how you relate with male people in your life. Yes. So when I see you talking about how your relationship with your father or how you grew up seeing your father, yeah, and knowing that you have to find a way to make it work. At the end of the day, how it works, but it must work. But then you realize that times have changed from our parents' times to our times, and you have a son now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I barely get to see.
So I cannot believe that you don't. How then do you express vulnerability? How then do you let out? Because you are human, so you can't say you're void of emotions. How do you let out?
I am such a crybaby, I'll tell you.
So do you cry?
Yes, I cry
On your own?
Yes, I cry. I cry when things hurt me. I cry. There's no way around it. But maybe the THC has been helping with with suppressing the pain of things. So now it's the short
But
memory
it's
loss.
not long term.
Yeah, it's not long term. So the short-term memory loss just feeds away the things, and I kind of like forget them. And
So don't you think that has affected how you love as a man in your
so I'm
friends,
such a big
in your
love. I believe in love, right?
Mhm.
That's all.
You believe in love?
A lot. I believe in love.
Are you in a relationship?
No.
Since when?
Since a very long time.
How long?
Getting in.
But you've been situated in places, you've been in situationships.
No. Okay. Well, it's very interesting. People, but I'm really very straightforward. Yeah, usually with again because I'm such a big lover. I'm an empath, right?
I'm an empath as well.
I like the people I like. I like to be with them. I like to be involved. But until I don't do it right, so my past relationships, specifically just one, I felt like was a serious relationship failed because I missed some important details, right? I was ignorant about things. And I feel like I'm still paying for that. Yeah. But then I don't consider, like, I still think there's time to like get lovey-dovey again and get into a new system, and it will
You're
work
not
out.
closed out
Yes.
from the whole point. But then I
Mhm.
now wonder, your father passed down a certain truth to you about it must work. How it works, Wamala, do you know Kugwa? You have a son now.
Mhm.
Is that how
The
you
same
want
thing.
him to
Yeah.
say like,
I have to make it.
he will make it.
I mean, I have to
but
first
how
make
he has
it.
made it is now
Like, I have to first make it.
because you've not broken. Like you've not broken in the process, much as it's been hard. It's been hard. Things are changing. Yeah. And you still are a man. Then help that you're a black African man.
True.
Yes.
I feel like it's being present in process of things is what matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I told you my father is a really hard worker, but I would not call him rich right now. And that is something that hurts me so much. So much. Because he really, really, really is a hard worker.
You should have been.
Yeah, like he's sacrificed it, he has done
So what
it.
do you think? What was that he missed?
A lot of things. Again, you can be ignorant even if you show up for things, and maybe that could eat you. So also things, you could be unlucky, right? So I never forget that. Much as I really, really feel like I have a lot of luck, and that also explains how I celebrate the small victories I get.
How do you celebrate?
By understanding that it is just luck. I'm not so special. I'm not like a smart kid. That's
So you believe in luck?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I try my luck a lot, mostly with women. So I go in a lot of depths. For real.
Really?
I like to, yeah, I take a lot of women.
How is your typical date like?
Like
Take her to a hotel, she gets a meal.
a hotel, meal, or swimming, or if that's what you want. Like really, we talk through it. Experiences. If you want to fly out and I can afford that, we do that. Depending on the person, like what I like to enjoy moments. Like I'm a loving person. Like
But do you know what your love language is? Do you believe in
I
love
think-
languages?
Okay, I'm trying to like understand them, but yeah.
I believe in love languages because they necessarily aren't the blueprint to love, but they, like you say, knowledge. Like when you're not ignorant, like you know this person, yes, they prefer that you spend more time with them. For them, when you spend more time with them, quality time, that's it.
Yeah.
If you give them love, if you give them gifts, rather, you have spoken loudly how much you love them. You know, acts of service, they're doing something and you offer to help. Things like that.
So
that help people love you better.
Spending time together.
Yes, I can tell.
To me. So that's the thing. Like
You believe in sex before marriage?
A lot. Sex is very important in the equation.
So it should be after marriage.
No.
Hey.
Like you should have sex. Also, if it's possible, you should have sex on a first date.
Oh my God. Really?
Yes. Because when you have sex on a first date, then you really do away with all the guilt you'd have. Am I just being here for the sex? Do I just want to get into her? Or
but if you do it, then you won't know if you want it. If you're in for
if you have the sex, then you know that you like the person, right? Like also, it's really hard for me to
I don't know to think physical touch is your love language.
Other people, it's something. Okay, yeah. Like if we do not like maybe kiss in the first week, okay, in the first time of seeing, it's going to be very hard. It's
gonna be like. Have you watched? There's this show on Netflix. It's called Love Is Blind.
No.
So these guys don't see each other for a certain period of time. You're just talking to the person. You're just getting to know the person. For some people, yes, it's scripted to a certain extent, but it is true. Some people develop genuine connections. And when they reach in the outside world, the physical aspect messes it up. Yes, which is possible. But and I think that's subjective.
Brought about by very many things, right?
True.
Yeah, pornography.
So if you found somebody that told you she would want to wait, would you wait?
For the sex. Yes, if I'm interested in them. So
Oh,
I was still telling you, right? Like the experiment I do with the dates is to practice things like patience, yeah, like presence. Those are really hard things.
true.
Presence in moments, understand people. Like I'm trying to date someone right now, and it takes so much strength, but then
And time.
and time. Like this
And
time, it's
patience.
really
And
and patience. Like, why aren't you replying my messages? Why are you being selective with my messages?
And it's cold.
Forget even that. Like that. Like I expect. I also use it to practice things not going my way, which is such an important lesson in life. If you can just learn that, I think you can beat everything. If you can just learn the fact that things may not go your way.
Your way.
Yeah, like it's learning that failing is part of the process. Failing is actually winning.
I think it's how you choose to look at failure.
Yeah.
Make it work for you. Yes. So I think that's very, very important. So I'm a firm believer that your well-being determines how far you exercise your potential.
Yeah.
Yes. So me, I'm still stuck to why you are biased about therapy. Have you gone for like a therapy session?
Yeah, I've gone for therapy. I was in a relationship with a very, very, very beautiful woman.
Yes, sir.
So, but I also realized I was just using them to get over a relationship in the previous. So, like, I didn't really have like the
It was
emotional
the
connection.
mold. I need
Yeah, but
to...
I'm at that stage where I feel like I'm forgetting how to love, right?
Why?
Because I loved so much, but then I got it so wrong, right? So I feel like I have to first pay for that to get over. Like I am paying. You know the karma thing I told you. You can never know how you'll experience your karma. But then me, I try to look at all my challenges as okay. What bad thing did I do? How does it connect to this? And that's it. Then I live through it. I'm like, okay. I have to pay back. It's fine. Like, say I've been rejected, right? And rejection is
How do you deal with rejection?
crazy.
I keep wondering.
Like, I've been rejected by a woman I've opened up to so much. And they've kept in my life for some time.
So you were sure.
Yeah, exactly. That they're being understanding, they're coming through, they're disappearing, but then when they try to like have the conversation with me on stability and blah 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 blah, I'm like, you need to be part of it first. You can't see it from Instagram.
Is there a possibility you misread?
No, they knew I'm very, very straightforward, by the way. Like,
They knew.
yeah, like they knew.
So were you
like,
sure about them?
Me, I was sure about them, but they were not sure
Sure
about me.
about you.
And then they chose someone else, right?
So that means in relationships, communication is big for you. And that means for you always straightforward. You hit it on the head. I think which is very important because
And it's been the thing with me, but sometimes it's really, really bad, right? Okay.
how so?
It's how you communicate that is also very, very important. And maybe sometimes I miss that. I could just throw away something that was not really supposed to. I don't know. I'm failing to find a way of putting this, but I could probably say something mean, but when I don't intend to be mean, but then it comes off as mean, right? Sometimes the tone. So that's also the other thing of being straightforward and wanting to speak your mind all the time.
Sometimes the way it comes
exactly could be so bad, and that's really important because it changes the whole thing. Because then you'd end up emotionally hurting people because you're trying to be straightforward.
So what are your non-negotiables in when it comes to relationships? Do you have deal breakers? Do you have things that
First of
are
all,
important to you
yes,
when
you cannot
you're getting
cheat.
into a relationship? So you don't.
You cannot be shared when you are my woman. That is it.
You don't. So if somebody cheated,
Yes,
you can take them back.
I am very jealous, right? Like I'm also very loving that I would let you have the time of your life.
Jealous people, because I don't like to believe, but I think I have been a jealous type. But I think is it because there's jealous that springs from insecurities.
Yeah,
I may feel like I'm not enough and I'm comparing and I'm like, why? What about that person? What about them? That you know?
So me, I don't even believe that I'm insecure, right?
So where
Because
does your
what-
jealousy stem from? Is it from
You have to be about me.
you want it for yourself?
You have to be about me. Yeah, I want you to send me pictures of you when I'm at work, stressed, all that stuff. Like really, because if you're then not doing it with me,
Who are you doing it
who are you
with?
doing it with, right? And it's so funny because you could do it with someone you don't actually love, but because you have this vibe thing and the energy thing going on, and then they are enjoying the best of you more than I am doing. So
Wow.
I'd have a problem with that. But I'm not insecure. Like I would let you hang out with. Like I am so full of myself that
You're aware of
if we
yourself.
have the communication and you're telling me, baby, you love me, I'm like, fine, sawa. That's
Sawa. That's
everything else I don't want to know. Sometimes maybe the PDA of
Are
posting
you
you,
in PDA?
I've tried, but it's bullshit because then
Is
it
it
puts
because
you on like unnecessary pressure, right?
true, because you're the celebrity. Go celeb katubuzivuva kugwe.
I've actually I've tried to date like a top model before, and for them they had this burning pressure. You have to keep up Cyrock branch. You have to go to the pop the boys. You have to the bottles. She's going to snap.
But
her
you know what
nails
you've
and
signed up for.
and it was fine. And it was fine.
And you had no problem with that.
Like really, I'm loving you, right? You want
So,
trips, and that's what we're doing, and you're putting
I'm
it
glad
out
with the
there.
whole package.
Yeah, and you're putting out there. It's because I'm not shitty
That's
for you.
okay.
Also, because to me, I come from a family where it's a man loving a woman.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I've seen my father do up to today. And regardless of how annoying the woman might get, this is it. This and you see the benefit of that, right? Like you compare, because I've also been in so many families while growing up. So I was quote unquote stubborn child who dad is like, okay, I don't want to feel guilty like I'm the bad parent, go and stay with this auntie. I don't want to feel guilty like I'm the bad nabo kabakula beko genda neyo bagambe, they might think me I'm a bad man, you go and stay with these people. so going through these families and seeing how they were relating, how the issues they were having, and how they were never in my home is amazing.
Made
right?
you understand.
Yeah, it's something like I don't need to see anything else, but I want that, right? I want the beauty of this. I want a man that comes home to his family. A man is sleeping in the house. They're closing the home. It's a thing. In fact, growing up, my biggest fear, and for Christians, I think they're right when they say God makes you face your fears. Yes. My biggest fear has always been that separating the mother of my child. And then it happened in a snap. And that is like my biggest heartbreak, my biggest pain in life. Something that taught me.
You have grown up from a happy, loving family, and you would want that for your son.
Simple that. Happy, I cannot even really say happy, right? But then the loving, the importance of family.
That's what was enough. Like it was good enough.
Yeah. So not that was like my biggest fear, and then facing it. But I am that person that has grown up with that. So that is the only thing I want.
And you still will get it. You still believe.
I feel like I got it.
So I feel like that was it.
Because then you see, it's very interesting. I wouldn't want to get back with that person. Like I don't want that. I'm just speaking because of the experience that it gives me. But then I feel like
person is there.
Those are very hopeful statements. People keep throwing them around.
I don't believe it. But
hope is very misleading.
There is hope. Yeah, you're hoping. You're hoping.
That person is there. Or why don't you think about the fact that now you had your chance
and it's gone?
But
then that will mean that person wasn't yours. I believe that
again for such moments, right? So the things I'll probably do with you. Yeah. And I might agree to like get in a relationship with you. But then some things don't come out in that way. We're being, we're compromising left, right, and center. Rukundo, you know, she doesn't like my jeans here. Let me remove them. She's about to come back. My friends are here. You guys go. Now I have a woman. And it's fine. Yeah. I could live through that because process helps build things. But there's that sinking you get with someone where before you know it, you're out there. Even when you don't have money, it's not like a problem. Like you don't think about it in that way. Peace. Like you can only get that with one person.
Yeah. Who is yours?
Maybe I've fumbled that.
No, you haven't. I don't think you have.
You feel like when you get that person, that is your person for life?
Yes, that is your person. That is your person, because your lot is your lot. For as long as you know that you believe, because I mean, like I said, I'm Christian. If the word of God says that none shall lack a mate, and you have believed that that's your report, so you know that yes, you're going to get married. And when you do, that person is yours. If things didn't work out.
Do you believe that marriage, with all the information you now have,
yes,
do you believe that marriage is like the epitome of like love has to build into marriage? Because that's the thing, right? I feel like marriage is where people lose it. And I don't know why I even feel like that, because you see, the person I've been looking at the most.
It's not like what people expect.
How do you mean?
We have things that will carry us into the marriage, but the things that sustain us are different.
What would sustain you in a marriage? Say, for example, you.
For me, firstly, yes, I believe that love is important. Like, yeah, I mean, God.
But it dies out. Do you believe that stuff?
It won't die out because this is not a conditional kind of love. Yes, there's that feelings love that, yeah, man, it's hot, it's fire, the chemistry, what? Yes. Will there be a point where it will burn out because we have maybe spent a long time together and now it's not as exciting as it was? Yes, there is that. But remember, this is a choice. This is a choice. If it's a feeling, it's going to fleet. Feelings change. It's on today, it's off tomorrow. If it's gone, it can come back, but it won't be constant. Yes, but what makes all the difference, and what now for me, I believe that for now, what I believe is what sustains marriage for me is, yes, do we believe in God? What's our value set?
Yeah,
that's what sustains your value set. What you both have believed. It's a surrendering thing, that it's not about me. If we're choosing, the problem is that people get married and they come as separate people and they still want to be separate in a marriage. Yet in a marriage, it's one. I've let go of my dreams, you have let go of your dreams, and now it's our dream. But the grace to separate that and act like, be aware, intentional every single day is not easy. It's a discipline. It's an act.
So what happens when you fail at that discipline? Just like we have failed at all the disciplines in life.
So, for example, it depends. Everything that happens in life is formulated by the belief you have about it. If you believe that, I don't believe in divorce. Yes. I have chosen that when I get married, because it's not an if situation, when I get married, yes, it will not be where I come from, marriage doesn't end. People don't leave marriage, like no matter the situation, which is most like our parents' generation. Because you can tell from how we have grown up.
What do you mean people don't end marriages? Because you've not lived situations.
Let me give an example. Where I come from, our parents' generation itself, you could have seen that our parents did not sustain their marriages on love, on feelings. They made that choice and said, you know what? I have made the choice. Now, what makes the difference is before, when you are choosing the partner, that is what will sustain that's what will sustain the marriage. You can't.
So, because you see, I agree. We choose our partners, right?
We choose.
And let me take you back to a little bit of my personal experience. So I chose my partner, of course. I loved them. They loved me. We were on the same wavelength. We never ever envisioned that we wanted to like go and get married. Like on that wavelength of, for us, it's us against the world, right? Regardless of family, who, what not, until until of course you fail at the discipline, right? Until you become dishonest, until and these things almost happen like they are out of your control in the moment, right? So you'd never wake up in the morning to be like, I want to be a bad person.
Do I want this to end?
Yeah.
Do I want this
Like
to...
I can never, you can never know how I'd react of something you've done to me, right?
Yes.
So before you know it, I have a problem with a smoker, but then I knew they were a stoner before when I was getting with them, we're staying together, but now I have a problem with it, right? So when such emotions start to build up and they're out, because you see, it also takes a lot of power to understand our emotions, right? To know, first of all, that we do not have direct control of the emotions, and then to really be in the moment to observe them, to know that now I'm angry.
Separate ourselves from the emotions.
So you could meet the love of your life at a time when you're not knowledgeable enough
Or you're not ready.
for the love of your life. So what happens? You and then you've met, you've gotten married, you're on this wavelength, and then you realize that, you know what? We're not ready.
So now I ask, what determines that you're ready for marriage? Like for me, I believe as a guy, yeah, you're a guy.
Finances.
Yes. You're not going to come and tell somebody, I want us to get married. You have no plan.
Do we have people that have successfully built through brokenness to greatness?
Now, it's that there is that, but then that means there's already an existing vision. Mark, there's me coming into your life. People have misinterpreted the thing of okwezimba to jakwezimba.
Yeah.
We, as a woman, there are women who meet men who want men who are already established. And there's a woman, basing on who she is as a person, has no problem being with somebody. Take, for example, these people who have met when they're in high school and they date. They've grown together and now they get married. They've built with that person. Now, there's also another lady, she doesn't want somebody who's kwezimba. But primarily, the truth is, as a man, you have no business getting married if you haven't sorted yourself financially. Your primary responsibility as a man is to provide.
Agreed.
Now, men who are not financially stable, the people are going to reach in relationships and start saying 50-50, oh, you bring this, you bring that. If a man has brought that...
I wish you could name drop, because then... Clearly, it's not always about the money, right?
It's
because
always
people,
about the money.
Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff have all failed marriages.
Yes, it's not about the money. Now, it also now for the men, it could be that part of the money and provision and your state of mind, your vision, where you're going. And then you marry somebody totally opposite of where you're going. It won't work. You will clash. As a lady.
How do you mean?
Let's say, for example,
totally.
you let's say you're a DJ. Like this guy is hitting on me. And he's a DJ. Yeah. And this girl that you want to date is a church girl. Yes? Church girl. She doesn't go out, she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke. Our lifestyles primarily are different. Our beliefs are different. Because for you believe that it's okay to go out. I'm just making money. I'm just working. Yeah, it's just for the money. This girl says, no, I want to put myself in such an environment and watch. Our values and skill sets are different. Our beliefs are different. There's no intersection. We're going to clash. I'm going to tell you, come to church. You're going to say no. You're going to invite me to brunch and I'm going to say no. So there has to be an intersection. There has to be a relation. There has to be a merging of purpose together. You get? That's why it's important that you're interested in somebody. But as a woman, do I know my purpose? Have I understood?
What is your purpose as a woman in a relationship?
Firstly, before I'm a woman, I'm a person, like I'm a human. Yes?
Yeah.
And a woman is different from a wife. You know that?
No.
A woman is different from a wife. A man is different from a husband.
As a woman in a relationship, what's your purpose?
If I'm a woman and in a relationship and I have not understood what my purpose is. Like, I don't know why I'm on this earth. I don't know. I'm not a self-aware. I'm not confident in myself. I don't know who I am. I don't understand myself. I have not mastered myself. That relationship is going to shake. It's going to shake. It's going to shake. It is going to shake.
Do you think love has time to permit for all this awareness?
Yes, love is patient, love is humble, but mostly love is a choice because it's easy to love you when you have something you're giving me, but we love even when we don't have reason to love you. Our best example of love is God. It's just because when we look at the worldly definition of love, that's when emotions come in, situations come in, circumstances come in. I love you because you're able to pick me up, you're able to give me convenience. But love is ultimately a choice. Love is ultimately a choice that if I've made a choice that you are my person and we cross that path,
What happens if I don't choose you?
if you don't choose me, then we have no business getting married.
Like,
Because if you don't choose me, how are you going to exercise grace, to be patient, to be kind to me? Yeah? It can't work. It can't work. Primarily, my beliefs will be formed from my faith as a Christian. You know, for me, the only thing that sustains me, that will give me security, is because I know that this man that I love believes in God. And there's church boys, it's crazy out here. It's crazy out
I
here.
feel like church people are all hypocrites, the biggest.
I can't blame you. I can't blame you for thinking that.
I've grown up seeing it. Like, yeah.
You've grown up seeing that. Yeah, people have said that. That's very common propaganda about Christians. But like I said, the only security I have that this man will love me is because
They love God.
he loves God. His relationship with God is the guarantee and the safety that I have. That when he's not listening
I'm
to
just trying to be a better human being every
Yes.
single day.
Yes.
And my actions speak that I am feeding into that with you. I treat you with a lot of kindness.
Treat you
I
with grace.
understand that kindness never runs out, but I am struggling with my spirituality, right? I think the concept of God is such a big thing that you cannot just cling on to it. And I am saying, you know what? Okay. The little I understand from the concept of God is do unto your friend as you love to be
Yes.
done unto you. And that is all I am siding with. So what else do you need from me? Why do you need me to go to why do you need me to say I love you? You know, I can put up a show, right? When I am asked to pray, my employers ask me to pray on Scrum meetings every morning, partly because I feel like they do it because sometimes I read my tweets and they feel like I am not like God born or something like that. But then they get shocked that I actually come from a very, very Christian family, right? I know how to pray, I can say the prayers, and I will say them, even though I don't understand my relationship with God.
But you do have your relationship with God and it works.
So, but I don't understand it, right? But I know for a fact that I don't want to hurt people.
Is faith important to you when you are looking at
Things?
like relationships? Yes,
like faith?
Like faith, religion.
No.
Yeah, Catholic. What?
Yes.
You're Catholic.
I was born Catholic.
I was born Catholic as well.
But I am not like practicing, right? But I am still Catholic. I'm very sure I'll get married in a Catholic church. Yeah, all that stuff. Confession, what? I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school. I went to Namilengo College because I'm Catholic funded. From there I still went to Mpoma, still Catholic. So it's been like that. My priests come in and out of our father's home.
So is it important that the person you marry knows God? Because there's people, naturally, because of the families we are born in, people have the different denominations.
Maybe I'm going to grow into it, but I don't really
so
care.
if I came and told you, Mark, I don't believe in God,
I wouldn't mind.
Atheist.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah. I wouldn't mind. Like it's going to be about your character, right? Because again, I feel like I love like a lot of people. So a lot of people, I give so many people a chance with me until I can't give you a chance because there's no next time with me. That's also like principle to how I move. So in the time where we're trying to like get to know each other, yeah, I will either make you angry or I'll see how you react to my anger, to things that when things don't go your way. That, and to me, that's very important, right? Money, how you things, because money is very important in life.
Have you had issues in your relationship because of money?
Yeah. I broke up because of, I think I went broke. Yeah, I lost my job. I did not tell the woman, and I still kept her on the same way of, because I was very, very scared to disappoint this woman. And I think this is the very first time I'm talking about this on the podcast, but I've written to her a book about this. But now I'm like free to talk about it, right? So I won't feel guilty, and it's not like I'm going back.
So you see why I am a firm believer that
But when can you have the money and the show of it?
there's no money that can ever be enough.
Exactly.
No money
So
that can never
why
be
should
enough.
that ever matter?
But it's, for example, right now, how I've asked you if many conversations are very tricky conversations. I've been in relationships before, and money is a very contentious matter, you know?
Yeah.
And it calls for a lot of vulnerability because it's such a resource. It's such a resource.
Yeah.
So for me, I wonder how still vulnerability. Yeah, you've mentioned you wrote a book.
Yeah, I don't apologizing to me.
So that's that of being vulnerable.
Like, but that was just really understanding where I'd gone wrong and trying to like explain it and trying to make her aware the fact that I was really, really not in close contact with my emotions and understanding what I was going through, or yeah, like a bunch of just as just an ignorant person who was just full of himself, and that was where I was. Yeah, but it doesn't matter where I am right now, right? Again, it feeds when I listen to Kenneth Mohanji, right? And I've been blessed to also now listen to Isabel twice. So
That's twice.
Isabel twice.
I think she's a
Thrice, actually thrice. Yeah. People keep track like this.
Try.
Oh my
Track. We've been seeing your favorites, and we're like,
Oh my god! I didn't even know, but
three times. It's been 3 times.
Okay, 3 times. Nah, yeah. So, and Kenneth has been on there 3 times now. So interesting.
Following each other.
It feels like my podcast is that. No, when I listen to
I'm
both,
going to ask you, these are your favorite people?
you mentioned it's so crazy.
3 times.
Both of them, and they're like following each other the whole time. So when I listen to both people, it gives me this much understanding of things.
Yes.
Right?
And perspective is important.
Experience people very differently.
So differently.
Yeah?
So different.
So differently. Because when I sit down with her, sometimes off camera, I'm like, no. Because then I know this, like, I know like the depth of it, right? I am friends. My biggest mentor is his younger brother, Timothy. He's like my guy, my best boss, guy I've worked with for a very long time. I know his discipline. So when I think through that, I'm like, see how we manifest to different people differently. Exactly. Then I think about myself, right? Say what my maybe ex thinks of me, then how I treat someone else. Like if you'd ask the girl I'm with, I am very sure they will tell you that guy, kindness, top notch, care. Like it's amazing. He picks me up, he just chills me. But then you like have a conversation with Bank, and she's like, the devil itself. So that.
It's amazing, right? How different people can have different like, so that's the thing. You know, before you meet somebody, let's say I'm doing research, I want to know more about Mark, like I want to know the kind of person you are before even coming to have this conversation with you. And you do your research, you'll find out different things. Yeah. And then we will relate together. And for me, my report will be different. I'll be like, Mark is a kawa guy. So always being able to separate people's personal experiences with other individuals and allow and give yourself grace and that person an opportunity, yeah, to relate with you how they know best. Because we have been at different lives. There are people who will talk to you in a certain walk of life or in a certain season of our lives. And I'm not that person anymore. Like
True.
you're going to have to understand that people.
Do you believe you can you can become someone different?
Yes.
Like you're someone different every other year?
Every other year. Every other year. Yes. Because yes, we do make resolutions, but we live life in seasons and times.
I agree.
You will find me in this season, and maybe this has been my worst season thus far. And anybody who has encountered me in that season, you'll find me as, let's say, I'm going through a breakup. You'll find me closed off. You'll find me, I'm not sharing. I'm a certain way, I'm reserved. And then somebody else is going to find me in a season where I'm now flourishing. I've now decided to put myself out there. I've made resolutions that I'm going to take up more spaces, and you find me and I'm so vibrant. And you tell somebody, that girl is like this. And they're like, really? Are you sure? So I think giving people grace every time we meet them, like how you said you come here every day, like you're,
Yeah.
I think that's the same thing we should do with people. Take them as they come. Take them as they come every single day.
Say you like someone, like, right?
Mhm.
You know you cannot. You can convince yourself that, you know what, it's kawa me
Yeah.
kawa with these things. Do
Because I
you
want to believe that it's true.
But then before you know it, the feelings kick in, right? You get offended because they're replying to some guy on Twitter and they're not replying to the message, right? You're like, what's up? Like, okay, you don't want to, like, you're a hard guy, you want to stay confined, you're new wellness being, you know, all this
Hmm.
self-awareness and what, like, you're trying to be present with your emotions and feel them and let
To
them
be a
but-
better person.
yeah, until you just can't, until the love wins. You're like, man, you give me the attention or you don't.
Oh, you don't. But that's it. You make it clear. Like it's so easy to say these things, and then you get into a relationship, and it's hard to have these conversations. That's why I believe it's important that you can't only be vulnerable in a relationship. You can't say you're a vulnerable person, yet you only express vulnerability to one person. You're going to think you're doing something, but you're actually not. So that's why I think, like, while we're talking about wellness and everything and being self-aware and knowing our triggers and how our childhoods have formed our states of lives right now, I think it's important that we learn to practice vulnerability in every state. And how do you do that? By being honest. Like you
Yeah.
open up. It doesn't matter. Like I've come
So
to
the thing about being honest, right?
Mm.
So in one of the women I had a very big crush on and they rejected me was because I was very honest to them. So what, coming from my previous relationship, I think one of the reasons it failed was because I was lying, right? I was omitting truth and
Omitting
lying
truth.
at the same time, which is lying. Sometimes I was just really, really just lying plainly because I maybe felt like if I told them something that would make them happy, they'll be happy.
they'll be happy.
And that's all that mattered to me. So, but then realizing that and thinking that, okay, now let me attack this way and be very honest with you, take you through process, be as direct with you, put you through my work, show you that I can make money from here. I just need patience and like give you a whole projection of how life could turn out. And then and that was not enough, right? And
But sometimes you're going to have to understand that it's not you the problem. Like
And
if
that's a
you have
hard
done
thing.
that, sometimes it's somebody else who has not done the work.
Yeah.
That's why you're going to have to be able to pay attention, to be present. Kenneth likes say, be present, be in the moment so that you're able to pay attention and nothing passes you by. Because you do the work. Mark, you have done the work. I can tell from how you're speaking. And if you get into a relationship with somebody who has not done the work, you're going to feel like you're hitting a wall.
Sure.
So you're going to have to be able to recognize, point out when somebody hasn't done the work. Because people will project their insecurities. There are things that they have not worked on. and they will affect you. And you can't keep regressing.
But then what happens if your heart wants that person, right?
But you know better. You know better. Like we talked about.
Yeah, knowing better is one thing, and then waking up. And you know that
the
time when
emotions from the truth.
when you leave work, go
and-
home, and you're in your bed alone, there's no guy, there's no camera guy, and you're just there thinking, and you don't know how this person's life just plays in your head. You're thinking about them, you're calling their name. You're like, why you? Like, you even question
You
it.
need to have to love yourself enough to make the choice
Not
that you have to make for the greater good, like of yourself. You know, otherwise you're going to keep in circles. You're going to keep looping in circles, in circles, in circles. And why? Like, that's why I keep telling people around me that it's an active thing. You always have to remind yourself that you are the prize. You are worth it. You have a lot to offer. You have a lot to offer, and someone is blessed to have you in their life. Yeah. And the way you know that, you will easily accord to them grace. You will accord to them the respect that they need. You will accord to them the honor that they need. And you will respect yourself enough as well. Because now it's not about you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about you. The choices I'm making now are, I'm doing them, but they're not just for me. I'm going to date a person, but I'm doing that while being intentional because I'm going to have children. And that's going to be the father to my children. Yes? They're going to have to carry that. So the choices I make now not only affect me, but they affect my children. Yes? You're not going to get into this relationship. This guy has not done the work. And then you get married to him. And then he beats your kids. And then he's not a present father. He wasn't present with you. How do you expect him to be present? And now why are you making your children pay a price they don't have to pay it? Every time it's just about you, it's so easy to miss it. Like if it's just about me, it's okay. I'll get the thrill. But every time you realize it's not just about me, because you're going to frustrate me, and then I'm going to go to work and I'm pissed. I'm not delivering, and I'm affecting people that, deserve to have my light shone. So being aware when somebody hasn't done the work and you've done the work is very important.
Okay.
Very, very, very important.
So, but then that means there's no such thing as love, right? There's just
What is that?
calculations of.
It depends on what you have defined as love.
What's the fitting puzzle?
Always ask
Do
the
you
person.
tick my boxes?
Always.
Yes. Because you see, I believe in trusting people, right? The one thing I'm not failed at, when you meet my father, they'll tell you I've been a very notorious child growing up, rightfully so. I've been very rebellious all my life. Ekitankolera tekinkolera nze, right? I am so full of myself. The village knows me. Just like that. I really don't care if you're smart and I am not. If I am existing, I am there. I own my space. Like really, confidence to me is a stain that does not wipe out. It has not. For one, the one thing that I have not failed at is maybe knowing how to make money, right? So, how do you meet someone and then you sell them that dream that, look, here, if we partner together, yeah, and mold life like this, I don't have like the whole blueprint, but I am sure of my mind that I'll do you justice and will make it, you'd be somewhere. I don't know how much it's going to take me. Again, it's tricky, right? Because then why would you want to count on someone's patience in their life? So the question to me to like follow up was, how do you like build a relationship? Even when you are aware of yourself, you still have to be in position to like trust yourself enough to help someone get through to maybe get to your level. If they let you, that is.
If they let you.
But
if they're willing to do the work. Because I believe at this point where you're at, you have seen enough to know the sign clear enough.
Do you feel like you've seen enough?
I think there's what I've seen that I now know, a fair share of what I've seen.
Where are you dating right now?
No, right now I'm not. I'm not in a
When is
relationship.
the last time you're in a relationship?
When was the last time I was in a relationship? A few years back.
You're saying that.
But
they've
I've
told
been,
you.
there's that relationship that has been
There.
it's on. It's
You go back
on,
to your exes. I don't
it's
go
on.
back to my exes.
No, I don't go back to my exes. I don't go back.
And-
But there is just that one person. It's complicated, but yeah.
So you see
But
that
am I
one
in
person
love? I am.
with them.
Yes. Yes.
So they're just not yet ready.
We just are at a point where we have decided that, you know what? Right now is not the time. Right now is not the time.
Because of what you want, right? From
Because I feel like we both aren't ready for what we want.
what do you want?
Yes. The goal is marriage. Yes. But I feel like at this particular season for me in my life, I am discovering my purpose. I am getting my landing onto the ground. I am establishing my personality, my career. I'm building myself up firm. You know, I am finding my grounding as a person. I am finding my stability. I'm establishing my stability. Yes. What he is doing, I have no idea. Also, put in mind that this is also fostered by things like insecurities, trust issues. Yes. I've been in a relationship where this person has cheated on me countless times.
And you are in there.
Countless times.
Why do people really stay when they're cheated?
Oh, but that's the thing. I used to say when they cheat, sweet, I don't look back. But it's the illusion. I don't know, it's the illusion that it gets better. Does it get better? It's craziness. It's craziness. It's
Why do you think people cheat? Why do you think you are being cheated on? Why are you not available?
I was available, but now that's the thing. It's not a me issue. It's the other person's issue. Why did they cheat? There was something they weren't getting from me, and they were getting from somewhere else. If maybe what they were getting from me wasn't enough,
Yeah.
yes,
Uh-huh.
or it's just you just don't know what you want. You want it all. Like Mark, you have women at your disposal, but it's in you to say that, you know what, I can have you all, but I don't have to. There are situations where
That, by the way, is like also my other principle as well.
yes,
Like, this goes back to my father, really. Shout out to Daddy.
shut up.
That's really good. You showing, leading by example. But it goes back to that. And I feel like it's not a good thing for men. It
Yes.
stunts you.
It does. I mean,
Like, do you know what I said? It's not like a good thing for men when you are a loyal guy.
it's true.
It somehow stunts your growth.
That is true.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but the guys that I've dated, I think two of them have made that statement of, I don't have a hard time with girls. And he's not bragging. They're not bragging. They're just saying because of the kind of people they are, they have not had a hard time getting girls. So girls has never been the issue. They're the kind, there'll always be girls around you that if you decided to open that door, it will be there. Yes. But now that's where it comes in. Do you think I'm worthy enough that you will choose me even when you don't have to? Even when you're put with that opportunity? Because the same applies to women. You're going to be hit on several times, directly or indirectly, but you don't have to. But unlike men, okay, it's different for men because we are women. Women are crazy. Women are
Fear
crazy.
women.
Women are crazy. So that alone. So like pretty much like what we've been saying, Mark, it's a choice. It's a choice. That's the one thing we have. Heaven, earth, heaven and earth, hell and heaven. We have choice, will, free will. Everything that we do, where we have gotten. Right now, the results we have are results as of a result of a seed we have planted, something we had done, some choice we made. Where we are going to be tomorrow is because of a choice we are making today. How my relationship is going to look like 5 years is because of a choice I've made. Yeah. Now, what makes the difference are the factors that guide me in making that choice. If I'm going to get into this relationship with saying, we shall work it out when we get there, let's just go with the flow. When we reach and the flow is not flowing, we decided to go with the flow. I cannot expect a different outcome.
Is sex very important to you?
It is important, but at the right time. It's important.
You believe of sex after marriage?
Yes. Yes. It's very, very important.
To have it after marriage?
Yes. Even naturally, normally, sex is very important.
Why don't you have it normally? So, I don't know.
It's just like it goes back again. Like I could.
Do you wait? You believe you're supposed to be in a marriage and stay there?
Yes. I won't leave. For me, my marriage. By the time. But the only thing, Mark, is because I am sure you're the one. How am I sure?
So do you have like a timeline on when you want to get married?
Oh, as soon as I am ready and my person is ready, even tomorrow. And
even 50 years from now.
Why 50?
Is that too much?
That's too far.
Why should it? Okay. You want children?
Yes, I want children.
Okay.
Yes.
And it becomes too far. How do you want to raise your children? But this is the last question, then you go back to you.
I don't want to raise my child. I just want to. I believe people have gone through things so that we don't have to go through them. And that's why it's important for us to have conversations like this.
Mhm.
Yeah. People go through things and they share. So you don't have to go through it. Yeah. Their marriage stories, their life relationships. So for me, I want to raise children, firstly, that they will know God. Because for me, that's what has sustained me.
Knowing God.
Knowing God.
You belong to God.
Uwimana, yes. But I want them to be able to enjoy life. The things that their insecurities I've had, feeling like I'm not enough, feeling like I don't deserve certain things. One thing is that I want to teach them how to be happy. To be happy. That doesn't mean hard times are not going to be there, but it's how you look at these hard times and to never give up. It's so easy to give up. The difference between somebody who made it and didn't make it is because one gave up. One person gave up. So if I can teach my children find happiness even in the most little things, they know God and they don't give up, I'll be waiting for my cows, for my sons. I think it's daughters that bring cows into the home, yes. Do I want to have children? I want to have children. I definitely want to have children. Do I want to have a family? I want to have a family as soon as possible.
Matching outfits, what?
Yeah, matching pajamas. Why? Because love is beautiful. We have complicated the world.
Love is really beautiful. But do you believe it's real?
It is real.
Do you believe in such a thing as unconditional love?
Yes, because
it doesn't really do. No,
it does.
Like love is always, for love to make sense, it's always going to be transactional, right? Because and to me this stems from, again, my past experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe that you love someone. You have to almost give them your all.
You have to.
So it becomes very transactional.
Somebody made a statement on Saturday and said that, why are you in a relationship if it's not serious? Because I was saying, how many serious relationships have you had? And then this person told me, why are you in a relationship if it's not serious? A relationship is serious. But now that's the thing. That's what people are doing now. They're categorizing. That's why you'll find people saying, this is a serious relationship. This wasn't. But that's why I told you, Mark, every time you have to make sure that the person you are choosing, you align. As I ask them how they define love. And how do you define love? Because if your definitions are different, you're going to clash because she has expectations, you have expectations.
How do you define love?
God is love for me. So if me and my man know that God is love, love is patient, love is kind. And this is something I've experienced in my life and in my journey with walk. Yeah, I know Christians have made it so cliche because people are just talking about a God they don't know. Yeah. But I have seen it. My work with God, God has been so kind to me. Okay, right now I look at it as a privilege that, yeah, there's an experience I've gone through. There's a time in my life where I was so depressed. So depressed. And I didn't want anything to do with God. I couldn't even listen to a gospel song. I couldn't even pray. But God was there. Even when I was not there, I switched off, signed out. But he was still present. He stayed true to his word. He was kind to me. He was patient with me. He forgot all my wrongs. And here I am. Here I am. So if me and my man both believe that God is love and he's patient and he's kind, we are aligned. We are aligned.
So after God, what's that other character you're looking for in your man? After them being God-fearing. But I feel like being God-fearing I can put up a show, right?
And put up a show, that's why you must know. Like I said, there's so many men of God, Mark, these days. There's so many men of God. There's so many women of God. There's so many church things going around. But like I said, at the end of the day, you have to know what you want. Know your skill, your value set defined. When the other person, you're well aware of their value set as well, you can't clash. But the problem is you go having your own, the other person has totally their own, you're not in alignment, and there's absence of peace. And every time you don't have peace about something,
how do you practice being peaceful?
It's something I'm intentionally doing. My mind is always racing. It's always thinking. I believe I'm a thinker. Like, I play out all scenarios. How am I practicing peace? Speaking words of life, like actively and loudly, like telling myself, it is well. I am where I ought to be. I am rightly associated. I get to where I ought to be. I am guided. I am where I belong. I am worth it. I am the prize. I have value. I have a lot to offer. That's the only way. For me right now, that's the only way. That's truly the only way. And choosing to say that, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? I'm not here for a long time. We're going to die. I could as well just do this.
We were there.
I could as well just do it.
It's very, very inspiring to listen to. I hope this is not an effect of time running out on you. I hope this is who you've been. Because you see, I feel like that's the thing with all of us, right? Mostly now to you women, you become rebellious and oblivious of the fact that, you know what, you need the companionship, you need to like forget the cliche stuff, cook for me stuff. You know, when you love someone, even to be like internet
it's not a big deal.
Honestly,
it's not a big deal. Like, it's never been a thing. Almost like no Korea. So why would you want
to
be like?
I hear you in that, but then it feels like you just wake up to the realization of that after time, yeah?
After time.
Also,
and also family.
Now, for me, let me give you my experience. So I was in a relationship for 2 years and I enjoyed it from start to finish. By the way, for me, it sucked in the last 3 days we're breaking up, and that's how bad it was. Like, so bad. But from start to finish, that is all I wanted. Like, yeah, I was on the wave. Like, I felt like even the mistakes, I was going to get a lot of time to correct them, right? Like, it's Kawa. Let's just first be on this wave. I'm going to get like how you get money for school fees and then go to the casino to get like 2 million. This time they eat it all. Then you call your brother. You're like, hey, I'm a risk taker, by the way. I'll be taking risks.
It's good to be a risk taker. I wish I was a risk taker. I am so risk averse.
What was I telling you about that?
You were... Okay, so now lost me.
Yeah. Yeah, but what had you asked? Okay, like initially, for like the aim of.
I think we're just wrapping up that part that it's important to know how we all define love.
Yeah,
It spills over
but
into
like
friendships.
finding, I feel like it's really
Relationships.
good given. You know, like how Christians think leaders strictly come from God,
Mm.
right?
Like,
I feel like that is the thing with yo. That's the thing with love and relationships.
Mm.
It's really good given.
It is.
Like
It is.
it's your luck.
It's your luck. It's your experience as well. Because most people are making choices now, being
And a good
informative.
partner depends on your karma with life. Like if you've been tracking at people, you might be blessed with wealth,
But
but
if,
you will fail at family.
what if I repent? I make
That's
amends.
that's the thing.
Yeah, you make
Well,
amends.
that's the-
You make amends. You make amends. And you expect good. You make amends and expect good. Because you get nothing short of what you expect. Nothing. Like, as a man thinketh, so is he. So is he. So we've talked about love, we've talked about religion, we've talked about career, we talked about faith. Yeah, talked about faith. So as we just, I think our conversation today was really widespread.
But that's the basis of like the big goal.
I think it was really, really widespread, which was a good thing because I was reading a book and it's called The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. So in this book, there is something that this guy says. He says, you can tell so much about somebody, even if, let's say, I didn't know you, Mark,
Yeah.
but then you take me to your place. Yes. And I just see how your things are organized, how you put your things. It says a lot about who you are. Yeah. And there was actually a social experiment carried out basing on that. So these conversations you have with people that are just 1 hour, if you're actually listening, they tell you so much about who the person is. You know what they're about. Like, I now know, like, Mark is diligent. Mark is an excellent spirit. Mark shows up. Mark is humble enough to know that when I don't know something, I will learn. Mark starts with what he has. Mark, family is important. Friends are important. Yes.
I see that, and you might miss it, but yeah, that those are really, it defines like values. Even when you're speaking to someone, right?
Yeah.
They tell you you're jumping from like thing to thing, then you pick from them.
You pick from them. So I think I've really enjoyed our conversation, and it just goes to show you that conversations are just differences in perspectives. Differences in perspectives, just finding a middle ground, not saying that my truth is the ultimate truth, that your truth is the ultimate truth. We're just both trying to make it work to the end. To the end, which I think is purpose fulfilling at the end of the day, because somebody's life doesn't stay the same. I always tell myself every time I encounter greatness and I encounter somebody who has done something bigger than I am, or someone that is where I am wanting to be, there's a lot to learn in their presence. Like, you always have to listen. And like you said, this knowledge is being preserved for generations.
Yeah.
You won't believe that there's a certain thing. Like, for example, you're a father. This podcast is going to father your child.
Agreed. That's the intention.
Effortlessly.
Yeah.
Effortlessly.
I agree.
Effortlessly. So I just want to, the last thing I want to talk about is your baby. He is part of you.
He's not a big man, 8 years.
What?
Had him when I was 21, I think.
What?
Yeah.
Do you know how old I am?
How old are
Guess my age.
you should be around my age. The most you are is like 28.
What? I like that. Guys, I'm 23.
Every year. Oh my God.
I'm 23.
Why have you grown into this person so early?
Sometimes I think I put so much pressure on myself, but also
Wow.
like
That's
how
crazy.
I'm
Like, I like where your mind is at 23.
I think it's like you said, family. How I've grown up. I've had to grow up so fast. I've had to grow up depending on how our situation. I come from a humble family. I come from interesting family dynamics, and for me, that has caused me to have to grow up
Are
quickly.
you entirely Ugandan?
Yes,
Okay.
entirely Ugandan. I'm a Mufumbira, born and raised from Kisoro.
I thought your last name is actually a Rwandan name.
Rwandan. No, they're just so similar.
Okay.
Yeah. So, how I've grown up, the family I've grown up from, and the situation and the circumstances have forced me to grow up because I'm the last born where I come from.
Nah, what? 23 last born? It's very inspiring.
Yes.
You just be a baby, bouncing around, bouncing out to the next party. You're already a lawyer. You'd be all over.
Yeah, I have lived my fair share of life.
Like, party is part of the process. I wouldn't deny it. But yeah, like getting taken up into it because of that, right? Also, for me, tell you what, I may have been saved a lot, right?
Mm.
So one of the things that feeds into why I do what I do and why I show up every day is because a lot of people have believed in me continuously.
That's very important.
Right? When I fall, there's someone willing to pick me up and to listen to my ideas and to invest again. Be like, you know,
Show you that you matter.
Exactly. So that, yeah, that is also part of the thing.
So yeah, your baby. How is your relationship with your child?
Right now it's non-existent.
But it cannot be non-existent.
Like I'm just the dad, right?
How so? How so?
I'm just the dad. That's it. I am the person. He knows that I am the dad, but we don't get the time. It's interesting. So at some point, he was living with me, right? And so I lost. I was raised by a very very nice woman. They're not my mom. I lost my mom when I was 4 years. She passed on. But because of that, and knowing that at the bottom of my head that hey, maybe and like the comparisons never stemmed out, right? So my other friends had their mom, but then I always felt like, you know what, I don't have my mom, so maybe things are not right. But then I don't want this for my child.
You don't want it.
Yeah. So when that happens for him, we get like this misunderstanding with the mom. But because at the core of it all, me not growing with my mom felt like a disservice to my own self.
Yes.
I'm like, yo.
So you wouldn't want that.
Yeah, we exchange emails and like she's like, I want to start living with child. And she does that, right? And now her scope of work is a bit very complex to allow.
Do you want that to change?
It will change.
It has to change.
It will change. But also I feel like it's time to move on. Right? Yes. That little man, I am doing so much more to impact his life than just to be present.
Yeah.
If it's not important right now. Like he's really young, 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. I wasn't staying with my dad when I think about it, and I like him so much. But I was never staying with him. He's always in jail, making money.
I don't think
So
it's always about
right now, but however, don't get me wrong. Like to me, family is the most important thing. Whatever other serious relationship I'm going to have a family.
Yeah.
I'm going to raise it. I'm going to be very informed about it. That's it. That's how it's going to be. Yeah. There's no mistake around it. Today, I'm not just going into it because I have to do it. Like it's going to be planned. It has to work like that. I have to raise my children. There would not be time for that. If it would have to go to like the plan I had in the beginning, but then follow it through because I have now enough information to see it through. So that's how I want to work out. But right now, my relationship is just into the things I'm doing. The more I become a better person, the more I make a lot of money, the more I'll make sure that I have some sense of control over.
You know, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because very many people think they are ready to be parents by face value because I have time, I want to see this child every day. But if you as a person are not aware enough, you've not done the work, you're not going to, because that's why you see some of us, the families that we've grown up from, and our parents have gone through things, and our fathers, we have related with our parents a certain way. It's because our parents we keep seeing memes going around saying, have mercy on your parents, give them grace. They were also just people trying to figure out life. Yeah. We've seen how people try and figure out life while parenting has affected us.
Yeah.
And that is why you'll see that I'm 23-year-old, but I have all this going on because of how I've been raised, because of what I've seen and how I exactly know what I don't want. So I think it's very brave of you to do the work on yourself, because only then can you be a better parent. Only then can you be a better parent. That's why I think it's important. Even me right now, as I'm trying to be more self-aware, try and deal with the insecurities, is because I don't want to have a child. Like I said, you can only take some people places you have been to. I can tell a child about confidence, about hard work. You have no idea. You don't see things through, you know? So I think we don't give people their flowers when they're alive. But
thank you.
It gets better.
I agree. It gets better. And I'm really a very big optimistic person.
Yes.
Like I knew for a fact that I didn't know I'll be here at this stage of my life, but I've always predicted it to my peers, right? I'll tell them that at 30 I'll be at this stage. Like maybe a house I'll be done with that. And I get that. Like I see, at least with those small victories and things, I'm that person that sees it through. So I know that because of such patterns from the past, this is what is going to define the future. I only have one child, but I've had so much exposure. Like I've literally had women tell me I'm so intelligent that the only thing they want from me is a true child, and that's it.
We do that a lot.
It didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, for real? You really think that's it? Like, you want me to just be a machine that manufactures a child and you go so that, but still knowing at the back of my head that I still want to raise a child in a family setting is where I want to be more intentional about it, for if I get like a second chance to it. But then I don't know, man. Life is weird.
Will work out.
Things just
it will happen, and we'll be here. Gavana itwaita kaskivana, itwaita kaski kapare. So as we wrap this up, I just want to ask you, what's the best advice you've received?
Make sure the guy passing you the ball gets as much credit as you for making the basket. It's a quote in billions, right? But it speaks so much to me because, again, like I was trying to explain to you, that a lot of people have helped me and I have also helped a lot of people. But just that, for me, right from the street, right? I still had family help. My elder brother is always, he was like my guardian angel. It's always going to get me. But even into business terms, I had people just believe into the things I do, and they like jumpstart my life to like, because I got into like heavy depression. But then the faith people like Hillary had in me, and this is a popular tweet as well, the guy that tweets the motivational stuff, but I'm also like, I do business with him. So people like him believing in me, my family, my sisters, my elder sister really, really believes in me. She like gives me all this encouragement of who I'm supposed to be. And I've grown up being told, you're very smart. You
can do it.
Are going to be rich. You can do it. I like your mind. So that is the energy I have around me.
People have been speaking life into you.
Yeah. And I don't want to let that down.
What's the worst advice you have received?
So I didn't really explain that advice very well, but I was still telling you, when you give credit, to those people for that in whatever way possible. The concept of gratitude stays within you, yeah? Which is something that is very important to practice. To be grateful for knowing that, again, I told you, my peers, I have my friends that have been taken by drugs, right? I have friends that lost track of direction and they just decided to drink the alcohol. So knowing that you are one job away from being that friend to someone also and being the burden must keep you grounded in some way.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Gratitude.
how then you build onto that is by making sure the people that believe in you you have respect for them at all times. Yes. Right? You pay that gratitude to those people. And this includes straight to our parents, right? I have so many things I'm mad about my parents, but then I know and I understand at depth the sacrifices my father had to make just to make sure that I'm podcasting everything. Despite everything. Yeah. He had time, he could start a new life wherever he was. He could
They
meet
played
you.
a part.
Yeah. I've seen other parents do all that stuff. They have different families here and there, but he's a man that has not done that. So to me, that gratitude, and I feel like I need to thank them all the time. But because of them, whoever has helped me has also shed more light to me to help very many other people I am doing. And I do it religiously. I just told you the guy that set up this podcast came to me as a cleaner. Right now they're editing work that is being published for KTA, work that is being published for big festivals and whatnot. And it's their work out there. So such stuff it's the advice. And I know, I never have to doubt how they'll speak about me.
Yes.
Yeah. I just know it
You have done
me
your
that
part.
I've done my part.
Yes.
And if you woke up this man from their sleep, they'll tell you that guy,
he did his part.
Solid.
That's so important.
So the second one.
What's the worst advice you have received?
The worst advice I've received. The certificates, the schooling, that they're important. It's great, for guys to see things through and they present what they have to present. But I feel like, and it was very important for me to jump out of it. So I didn't finish campus, right? I stopped. I didn't just graduate. I was doing computer science. Didn't graduate. I got a job, and but there was that guilt of not finishing school and not finishing school and not finishing school. But over time, I realized it's really important because of the spaces I could access for just putting in the work yourself. Yeah, for self-learning and the most important thing about wealth is it's not what you have learned and how maybe you're a doctor and you're going to get 80 million. It's just learning behaviors and characters of other wealthy people.
Yes.
Then you fit into their spaces, then you can speak like they speak, then you can do the things they do, then you get them, right?
Yes.
If I make $1 million, because the kids who've not gone to school and they make more money than guys at law firms.
And
right?
they are sustaining it.
And they're sustaining it. A border guy has 2 families.
He has bought land, he has a family house.
And
somebody in that corporate job has
no. And it's interesting. So so the certificating of things, I feel like that was extremely bad advice. I am so lucky I didn't follow it through. It opens you up. Also, my dad didn't finish school, so he could not turn down any jobs. And that has been the spirit, right? Lucky enough for us that we have YouTube, we have the internet, so you can choose a cooler way to approach things, but I would still do bricks. If I was in my dad's era, if it was giving me millions, right? Because he was still not a rich man, but he was above average. He still has a house in Tika. Comfortable life. That. So going out of that, the certificating of things, I feel like it ties you down to a thinking. And I've seen it because as wondering, so many of the most unemployed people actually have degrees.
Heavy.
In my peers,
Heavy.
right? The guy just is into an alcoholic, but when you do the research, he comes from a very cool family. It's crazy. Maybe this just locked him out. He was then locked out of the world. He could have just found something. He would probably be
been boxed by the systems of the world.
Exactly. So I feel like that was the worst advice. And don't get me wrong, if you're doing school and you are finishing it, it's very good to always go to the finish line.
Yes.
But then if, for instance, school is not for you, college is not for you, certificates, and this is not just about school, for anything, as long as you know the skill. So it's what we do. Like, look at this podcast. The whole story I told you is we don't know anything. I learned this on job. I learned the lighting on job. I'm still learning. We improve. We know now, okay, now maybe better lenses, then we buy to that. So life is just about learning. Yeah. And also knowing ntitomanyi nnyo is very important.
Knowing what you don't know.
So usually we're in a certificate that comes naturally because you're not going to grade yourself, right? Yeah, man, why not degree? Why not? So for me, I never get to worry about any of that. Like, I'm not on some scale, but I know that if the ministry needs a guy that is going to put up a strategy, I am competent enough to actually do for them a strategy.
You have results.
And I have results. I have done this, and maybe I can do this. Then I'm also investing in my own business. I understand broadly what content means. I'm trying to invest there. I can present that. So I really believe just in doing and not defining. Again, it is something I wanted to tell you about the relationships. Like right now, I want to be in a relationship, but I don't want to define it. I feel like when we put there, let's get married, that's where complications come from. Like, again, when you listen to like my friend, she used to tell me, before the 4 years, we got married. But yeah, what the bomb, but we got married like this. I don't know, fire. So you're like, oh my God, like really? I feel like the wedding is supposed to bring you together since you've struggled. You're probably going to do some guys
like
dead.
you're crowning. But for me, when it comes for that particular part, even when I'm making friends, yes, I've given somebody my number or somebody is giving me their number. I know from there how far we will go because I build relationships whose end I see. It may not be defined, but I must see an end that we are going somewhere. We are going somewhere, even if it's a friendship, even if it's a relationship. I think it's important that whatever you build, you see an end. Otherwise, you are just playing with not wasting your time, but just giving away your time so loosely.
Yeah.
So loosely. But this has been beautiful.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
I love series. I love series more than movies. Can I tell you something interesting about me? Like, I enjoy translated movies.
Yeah, I think they're dope.
Gwe Vijay Jr. Shout out. Shout out.
They're dope. They're coming in. Yeah. But I think I went left yellows. That's weird, man.
With my brother, he used to watch a lot of movies, and so Prison Break. So I used to just watch because
the translated Prison Break is crazy. I watched. So I watched first. I think the translated. Then when I grew up, I tried to watch this one, and it made sense. But then I remember the translated was a bad.
I just prefer. Like, I love translated. Like, on a good day, I'll get home. And I'm a bit old school. Like, yeah, there's Netflix, which is okay, but I prefer to go to the video library and get movies on my flash and go and watch my Vijay Jr. Like, he just, it's the humor.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of language, and
it exposes you, right, to how maybe certain communities perceive certain situations in the movie.
How he says certain things. And may I know it's a big contribution to my knowledge in Luganda, to my humor.
Let me shock you. Do you know that most of how we speak, really, much as we go to school and learn the English, but we learn to speak from movies, right?
True.
So we see movie characters. I don't know for so many people, but for me, I feel like how I speak my English, and right now I've also observed it. In the beginning, when I was young, it was about the movies. When I watch the movies, I want to speak like different characters. Then I would go. I used to watch Gossip Girl. This is very shaming.
But it was such a captivating series.
The Chuck Bass, the swag, then the lovey-dovey part, and the love, and what like that. So that embodying into that, like, okay, if I want to be like put up the alpha male thing, this is how I want to speak. This is how I want to start my statements. I want you to know these quotes. I need
consciously and subconsciously.
Exactly. So it plays into it. Now these days, I've grown to listen to a lot of podcasts, right? Because I'm into the podcasting. And whenever I listen to people like Elon Musk, people that have achieved so much, but when they sit down for interviews, they do not know so much. You know, they ask him and is still thinking of how to answer something because he probably doesn't know how to answer it.
Yes.
He's not on some pressure to be right. And then that is something I'm embodying. Like, I don't need to know something, right? I just need to speak from what I know.
From what you
that's
yes.
Yeah. So it's important to watch the translation. I agree with you. Like they really inform your perspective on language because that's how I learned how to speak English for me.
Yeah.
It was the school was putting the writing about how I want to speak.
The delivery.
Yeah, the delivery.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I enjoy translated movies. Like I will get my translated movie, get some yogurt, get some cake, and keep that guy has day just for days. And I feel like it's a few things about me that are not like you'll find. There are not so many girls you'll find watching
I agree. And now in the cool people era, whether it's Instagram, it looks like it's a turn up. No one wants to be associated. But anyway, it also comes from a point of being self-aware.
Yes.
Yeah. Like comfortable
in your thing because
and there's nothing as beautiful as that.
like
And
everyone is living their truth.
To me, I thank the streets so much because they made me understand that at a deeper level. Like, man, just be you.
Just be you.
And get along.
As hard as it is, you're going to have to be courageous, bold, okwek as a promax.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you realize we are either believing our truth or somebody's truth.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody came out and said that it's supposed to be.
So
like
that's the thing about atheists, right? That's confusing. They just believe in the state, right? Because if you're not believing in maybe Islam and its preachings, you don't believe in Christianity and its preachings, then you just, because the government is shit, right? It's going to fuck you up with the news. It's crazy. You're never going to like it. So then what are you believing in? What is your source of like belief, right? So whenever I am questioning the whole being born to God, that is at the core of my mind. But then what's the purpose? Am I just going to be like a plane and I'm just in space, nothing up and down? Like there has to be something I have to like clinch on. There has to be an explanation to things.
There must be something higher than you.
Intelligent. I'm not like an instinct that I'm going to prove formulas. There's this. Why don't I just? So to me, yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to ask me?
No.
I know. I need to ask you, of course, definitely. This is a podcast. Give me 2 podcasts that you think I should listen to, or anybody listening to.
Do you listen to Lex Friedman's podcast?
What's the title? What's it called?
I think it's Lex Friedman's podcast. I'll send you a link, definitely. I listened to that. Then I listened to Anderson Haberman. It's mostly about drugs and THC and understanding drugs. Then obviously I listened to JRE, which I think is a dope podcast.
At least I have.
Yeah. Here
in Uganda. Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
I listened to Growing with Intent podcast by Joan. Even though I don't like that she's always preaching something to us. Like she's being a motivational speaker. All that people my age are not doing this, but she's really very intentional with her podcasting, with what she wants to put out there, with how like she's in this whole setting of our parents' generation, right? And this is like the way of doing things, and I feel like we deserve that. We still need that in our space. So I listened to that podcast. I also listened to the Soyuji podcast a lot.
Soyuji.
Yeah, I produced that, but I also listened to it. I think that's my favorite podcast, Ugandan. One guy also stopped podcasting. There's a podcast I've been hosted on, but I forget the name, but it's for 2 guys. They're lawyers, actually. Isaac and I forget their podcast. I forget the name, but it's just a memory loss. I know this podcast. I like it. Then which other one? Yeah, really. That's. So I listened to clips of bits of mob jazz. Yeah, but I feel like that the cool kids for cool people. But I'll give them attention. Kids. Yeah, I'll give them. But and guess what? Melvin is like my boy. When I find him in the bar, I'll mag him. But yeah, that podcast. Then the Tribe UG.
Oh, yeah, the Tribe. That's another cool podcast.
The Tribe UG. Shout out to the Tribe UG.
Shout out.
The Ugandan All Star, I think, has a podcast. I shout out to him. Listen to a few episodes that reach me, guests that I'm interested in. Maybe I've had Melissa Malonji on there. She's a very, very, very good artist as well. Where else has Isabel been? I've been following up on Isabel for a while to like understand her speaking on the bipolar thing, and so I just follow up on the things she's about. I also like her mind really on things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, music is beautiful. Like
Yeah.
Isabel's music is my kind of music. Like it's that music where now, because I don't listen to secular music as much, but her music for me is that kind of music that I effortlessly listen to.
Mhm.
I find Isabel interesting. Shout out Isabel UG.
You find her interesting?
She is interesting. Like every time somebody lays their heart,
Let me do the kalang.
shout out Isabel UG. Only watch Talongolo, Ngawolo, baby girl. Truly, because every time somebody puts their heart out on the sleeve is important. Like there, this person, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the fame, it's about the heart.
Yeah.
So, and not so many people are so vulnerable. Like people are so hurt. People are so hurt these days. People don't have time. But yeah, it's beautiful that people open up. So I love her music. I love her albums. She's beautiful. She's amazing. It's
Good.
beautiful to exist in such spaces with such people.
True.
Yeah. And she's a lawyer. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be like that. We'll be like that. I'm a lawyer, but I think I'll not do it 9 to 5.
I feel like you also lawyers are like the naughtiest kind of people. eh?
Yeah. Like
That's why I like a
it's
lawyer.
a given. Shout out. Twagala sente, please get
Yeah,
yourself
I'm
a
innocent.
lawyer. Get yourself a lawyer. Like I think that's the one thing.
I'm gonna get married to a lawyer. I'm
Yeah.
such a criminal.
Yeah.
Mm.
I got you. Castaba ne PC. Practicing certificate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a beautiful evening here.
Thank you for doing this.
In the estate. It's been a beautiful evening.
Thank you. You refused everything we had to offer. Now I don't even know what's there. But really, thank you, Daphne. I appreciate this. I appreciate you also really listening to the podcast. Yeah, and being fun. You should come on here whenever you have like
Definitely.
you should talk on stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I feel like we're gonna be friends really.
We definitely are. I see this working out. I see this date has gone on, has gone on well. We have a second date.
Sure.
Don't worry, Max girlfriend. I'm not stealing here.
There's no girlfriend. Don't worry.
I'm just a work wife.
There's like a situation.
Anyway, Vera.
Abeera we bibeera ate ono omwagala ate alina ebigenda mu maaso ebiraavu.
But we won't stop.
I really want to just be a hard person. I wish I was that person.
I
Like
refuse to be hard. I refuse to be hard. I must be loved.
hard.
I must love.
Hard.
Like I love love. Like I'm not in a relationship right now, and I so badly want to be in one, but I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait until Cupid comes in February. We'll be here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.